Welcome, Deng. Actually, some of you are asking what Deng. Dr. Deng is with me in Clubhouse. He joined me in the other side, so you guys can listen to him through what you guys cannot go live here, but you will hear his voice. So he's coming through the Clubhouse. So I know you guys want to see him live on Facebook Live and YouTube, but he's coming through a Clubhouse. Okay, let us start our show. Welcome everybody. For those of you who turn in on Facebook or YouTube and X, and also some of you in Clubhouse, welcome to the show. Let me welcome Dr. Deng Aruai, the chairman and commander-in-chief of South Sudan People Liberation Movement and South Sudan People Liberation Army. And also he is one of the veteran, Jajamer, of Demo, and also he's a former Red Army chairman. So, Comrade Dengbol, welcome to our show today. Is a very important show, important day in South Sudan history. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Comrade Medit. Let me also correct that I am actually a Red Army from Pinyudu, not
Pinyudu, yes. Yeah, Pinyudu, yes. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can take microphone, yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. First of all, let me say hello to everybody that is listening here on Clubhouse. It's been a while. This is my first time coming back in a very, very long time. I'm also greeting those who have tuned in on Facebook Live. I want to thank you, Comrade Madid, for giving me this opportunity on this important day to talk to the people of South Sudan and also our friends, the friends of South Sudan. My greetings to all our citizens, to all the veterans of the SPLM SPLA liberation struggle, and my tribute to all our martyrs, the wounded heroes, the orphans, the widows, Jesh Armor, Katiba Banat, Katiba Sheta, and everybody who participated in the liberation of our nation. Today, the 16th of May, marks exactly 42 years since our gallant forces in Bor and many other places in South Sudan, in Ayut and also in Pibor and all the other areas decided that enough was enough and that there was going to be a new revolution as a continuation of what many of our forefathers and mothers had struggled for. We all know that the liberation struggle for justice, for equality, and everything that we had dreamed of did not start on the 16th of May, 1983. It predates that. Our people have struggled for over 200 years since foreigners began coming to what we know today as South Sudan or to Sudan. And this has been the issue ever since. So 1983, as many, including the late Dr. John Garang Mabir had mentioned or said on several occasions, that 1983 was not the beginning of the struggle. It was a continuation of what many had started before. So I want to say congratulations to all the people of South Sudan for the last 42 years for everything that they have endured. Things have not gone exactly the way we had envisioned, but the mandate that was given to the generation, which I call the liberation generation, was actually achieved, and that is the physical liberation of our people, so that we have a nation that is called South Sudan today. From 2011 until today, there is a different kind of liberation that is yet to be done. And this exactly is what we're probably going to discuss today. Because liberation itself did not also end in 2011. It's a continuous thing as we now have embarked on building a nation. So I thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to be here with you and all the South Sudanese that have tuned in all over the world to commemorate this day. Thank you.
Thank you, Comrade Deng. Well, that's wonderful for coming in, and also you're one of the veterans. You have seen your young age. Comrade Deng, mute yourself. You make our echo sound. So, Comrade Deng, let us give in this important day in our history. Can you take us back in 1983, also in 1987. Take us back during the liberation time, the experience and the time that the leaders, including also touch about the Jayamer, the contribution of Jayamer, and also the Jayachabi, which is Jayaswat. Give us a history moment, take us back during that time and up to today. 42 years is a long time. 42 years is our lifetime. It's a time that we were born in that time. So it's very much our time. All the Jayamer who were in the Buja at the time, that majority of us now are in our 40s to 45 or 50s. So 42 years later, the war has fought 21 years. Yeah. That.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Comrade Majid. I am going to tell my side of the story. I have always said that my life is interlinked with the liberation itself. And the 16th of May is rather an important day because I call myself a witness of the 16th of May. On that particular night, I was involved. I was a little boy. We had moved to Bor from Congo, I think the previous year. That could have been in 1982. So by 1983, we were already in Bor in Pakwao. And when I visited Bor many years ago, I kind of looked at the direction of the airstrip, the current airstrip in Pakwao, and remembered how far our house was where our tukul stood in 1983. So I kind of dropped down. There's a little road that goes down, the one that comes from Juba, crossing the main road that comes from Pinyudu, going to Pakwao, or crossing it, going a little bit north. That is the road that our house stood on, but on the right side. So I kind of drove for about just looking around and estimated that it was probably about a kilometer from the airstrip. And I found that the World Food Program had built a compound there. So I asked the gate man or the guard to let me in, and he did. So I went inside the World Food Program compound and then just turned around. That was around 2009, I think, when I visited Bor. So my memory of Bor and my memory of 1983 is that the eve, and that was on the 15th, of May, 1983, a few neighbors gathered at around 4 p.m. at the shadow of my house, or our house where we live. And they were discussing this. And what we heard was that there was going to be war in the morning. So when the neighbors actually left, my mom went and fetched some water. Remember, she had a white jerrycan. Put water into that, then went and got some groundnuts. We used to grow some groundnuts. in our compound. She put them together and walked to the bushes and hid them, saying that in the morning when we run away, then we will get them there. So, and then we went to sleep that night. I wasn't worried, of course, because I was young. I could have been 6 or 7. Wasn't worried because I was with my parents. And when you're with your parents, you don't actually think that there could be any problem. But I knew there was going to be a problem because the neighborhood actually had discussed. So in the morning, we heard gunshots, and we were sleeping. So we woke up, and that's when we began running. My parents got a hold of us, and at that time, it was my sister, the one that is older than me, myself, and my other sister. My other brother wasn't born. My mom was actually pregnant. My brother was born later when we went to the village. So we ran, and we were heading east. And at that time, gunshots were very fierce because that is when the battalion that had attacked the garrison in Malwal Chad, some of the other people who were at the airstrip were now dislodged and they were running. So, and that was when the gunshots were actually very, very close to us. So we kept on running east. We walked. I do not know how long we walked, but at some point I was just running and I got really tired and was carried at some point by my dad. So we went, and I remember my mom was holding my hand and my sister, and we were running towards a bush. And something like a shell just landed and destroyed the whole thing. We were standing there. So we kind of turned around and ran the other way. There was a cattle camp that we found on the way. I think it's called Panuer or Panuer. It was already moving. So that was around 9 a.m. They were moving out of that cattle camp. We proceeded, we walked the whole night. Late in the night, we arrived in Palais at the house of Nyong Benyangud. They were my dad's friends. So we stayed there for 19 days. So from the 16th of May, and now plus 19 days, you say that we returned back to Bor around June of 1983. We came and spent 4 days in Pakwao, and then we got on a truck and proceeded to Kongor. And just, kind of integrated there, and there were no schools. I was supposed to go to school the same year, actually in June. It had the war not broken out. So I went to the village, and we stayed in the village there until we went to Ethiopia, I think around 1987. That is when now the mobilization began in our villages. And the mobilizations that were done there were between 1987, 1988, and 1989. I think the last group to go to Ethiopia from our village was in 1989. A few people came in 1990.
Yeah, actually, we were the last group. We are the one who came in 1989.
Yes. And then from 1990 is when actually they started sending the other Red Army to Eastern Equatoria. So in Pinyudu, I was in Group 8 at Trier Wula. I think I was in Facilitani. But I was seconded to Trier Service because I was taking care of the uniforms and the tailoring machine of our group. I used to go to school number 8 and also in Group 8. So when it comes to the contribution of the Red Army, well, the contribution of Red Army is huge in the liberation struggle. I once said that we, the Red Army, are the history of South Sudan, because with the people who have endured so much, you're the only generation who participated in the liberation struggle at a very young age. The Jesh Aswad of Anyanya 1 and the Jesh Aswad of Anyanya 2, including the SPLM SPLA, majority of them went to the bush when they were in their 20s. But we, the Red Army, are the only group in the history of Sudan to participate at a very young age, willingly and knowingly, and also mobilized in order to take part. So we are actually the history of South Sudan. And at the same time, we're the only generation, and especially as children, who have seen the war begin and who have seen the war end. The war that basically ended, or that brought about an independent South Sudan, that closed that particular chapter of struggle. And my definition of the Red Army has always been that anyone who at any given time between 1983 to 2005 was between the age of 0 to 18 is considered Red Army. Because Red Army does not mean those who had gone to Pinyudu, to Jima, to Tapam, or who were sent to Cuba, or who were either in military, refugee, or IDP camps alone. It was a name given to generations of young people during the liberation struggle. Any child, whether in the village or in any liberated areas or refugee camps or IDP camps, was known as Red Army. And Jesh Aswad are our witnesses. Because wherever they came in contact with a young person, they would say Red Army, Jesh Army. And that is why we think that it means a generation, not a particular organized group in a particular place. But in terms of the categories of the Red Army, the first group of the Red Army to be recognized as Red Army were the Red Army of Mormor and Kazoo, of which some of them were sent to Cuba, about 600 of them. The ones that remained were integrated, and some of them actually became part of Mormor, and the rest were part of Kazoo. And then now the Red Army became a full-fledged program. And that is when the Red Army of Zazan, which was actually the biggest, came in. And the Red Army of Zazan was basically Red Army from different areas. And by that time, a lot of them in 1986 had began coming. And then the group of 87, and that's now when we began having the Red Army in Darfur, in Pinyudu, and in Jima. And every year from 1986 all the way to 1991, the SPLM, SPLA, the leadership of the SPLM, SPLA would go to all these camps and recruit among the Red Army and take whoever was healthy, whoever was a little bit bigger, or maybe let me say anyone who was maybe, even if you are 14, but you kind of look healthy, a lot of the Red Army got recruited into the army. From Dema, from Pinyudu, and from Darfur. When I say army, I mean in order to be now given the other advanced military training and given a gun, and for have us to go to front lines. But all these camps, Dima, Pinyudu, and Darfur, were all, although they were taken under the disguise of refugee camps, were actually military camps. And the Red Army training centers where they were provided education as well as military and political indoctrination at that time. And in all these camps, the Red Army were trained. So they were soldiers. And it was justified by Dr. John Mobile that the reason why these children are trained is so that if they're attacked, then they will have the survival skill to save themselves. And it is true. All the camps of the Red Army were always under the attack of either directly, in the case of places like Pochala or any other places that we were in South Sudan or Southern Sudan at that time, in displaced camps. Some of these camps were attacked by the enemy. And even when we were in Ethiopia, the elements of Khartoum or any other militia would also attack the Red Army camp. So military training was important at that particular time. The significance of the Red Army in the SPLM-SPLA liberation struggle is that it is only the Red Army that has produced a battalion in all the other major divisions of the SPLM-SPLA. From Momo, because also there were Red Army in Korean, but they were not recognized as Red Army. But there were young people among them, those who were below the age of 18. Those ones, some of them joined more later when the Red Army program was actually formally organized and they became a battalion within Momo. But later on it continued like that. So you had Red Army in Momo and then in Khartoum, in Tisar, in Fijar, all in Tisar, all the way to the point at the time when the SPLM-SPLA now was not organizing individuals, but in operations, most of the time, like Commando of the SPLM-SPLA or the SPLA, was primarily Red Army. So when you look at how the war was fought, and I've always made this justification, and until now no one has disputed it, this war that was fought between 1983 to 2005 was a partnership of the older generation and younger generation between Jesh Afford and Jesh Ahmed, of which the Red Army actually fought more than Jesh Aswad, because the Red Army fought continuously for 15 years. We literally picked up the war between 1990 to 2005. Jesh Aswad did a lot between 1983 to 1990. But the Red Army picked up from 1990 to the end of the war. That means the Red Army, not only did they suffer as children, died in many refugee camps, IDP camps, military camps, walked from Barghazal, Equatoria, and Upper Nile all the way to Ethiopia. Some of them had to come back and crisscross southern Sudan. Some went all the way up to Blue Nile and to Nuba Mountain. But not only that, a lot of the Red Army died in Equatoria, all the way from Torit up to Yambia, to Juba. That is where the Red Army spent a lot of their time fighting frontline. And that was in the 1990s and early 2000s. So when it comes to falling in battle, there the Red Army contributed immensely. Two, the Red Army were the economic backbone of the SPLM-SPLA. In fact, without the Red Army program from 1986, 7, 8, 9, the SPLM-SPLA would have not gotten enough food. It is the sympathy that the international community had when they saw all these children, and especially those who were in Pinyudu. 26,000 children. The international community could not believe where these children came from. And that's why there was so much food. The diseases that befell them when they arrived, and the numbers, the numbers of people dying overwhelmed the world. That is why there was a lot of humanitarian assistance coming to Pinyudu, because a lot of people had died in 87 and 88. But the food and the medicines and everything that was coming to Pinyudu and to Idang with Sarpam as part of it, and to Dima, is what actually kept the movement going in front line. And this is a proven fact. The SPLM-SPLA had no farm to feed in army, and the resources of the communities were also being depleted. By the time we left our home in Jonglei, I do not know about the rest of the other communities, but from Duk, Twitch, and Bor, the SPLM-SPLA had taken much of the cattle through contribution almost every month. Goats and sheep were like almost done. Actually, goats were no longer there. So there was no economic activity that could have sustained the SPLM-SPLA if there were no refugee camps and Red Army camps in Western Ethiopia. So economically, the Red Army did a lot. Now, also, in terms diplomatically, we also played a role. The international sympathy, because of the suffering of the children of the Red Army and the record number of children in refugee camps, brought a lot of sympathy to the SPLM SPLA. And for the most part, the Western world sympathized with the suffering of the South Sudanese people and the Sudanese people. That's why there was a lot of pressure on Khartoum and condemnation too. But the real victory going to the SPLM SPLA came with the Lost Boys. When we went to the United States from 2000, I'm one of the first people to arrive in the United States. And that was in November, mid-November 2000 is when I arrived in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And when we arrived in the U.S., and especially around 2001, is when now we began telling our stories, connecting all the way to our journey from all parts of South Sudan and Sudan, all the way to Western Ethiopia, and back to Southern Sudan and to various refugee camps, until we found our way to the West, particularly the United States. It is through our advocacy, it is through us lobbying our congressmen and women, our senators, it is through us talking to people in all the churches and all houses of worship that we used to attend that culminated into what was known as the Sudan Peace Act. Without the Sudan Peace Act, which in my opinion was basically motivated by what was seen in the Lost Boys and the suffering of the South Sudanese children and the Sudanese children that gave birth to the Sudan Peace Act. When it was signed into law, it wasn't Dr. John Garang, the Mabur, or Umar Hassan and Bashir who witnessed it. It was witnessed by the Lost Boys, who are Jewish Army, who are Red Army. That is another way we actually contributed. We contributed immensely also during the referendum. We mobilized in record numbers in diaspora, registered all our people. Many people contributed individually to make sure that every South Sudanese voted. And not only vote, but vote or voted for separation so that we can have South Sudan. And many of us also contributed a lot by coming back early. I started coming back to South Sudan and to Africa in 2005. Imagine I went to Khartoum in April of 2005. When I arrived in Khartoum, the only people who had arrived there was the first delegation, the advance team that was sent. 3 months after the CPA, I came to Khartoum in order to witness what was happening there. And I had brought some wheelchairs with me as peace offering for our brothers and sisters in the north. So we, the Lost Boys and the Red Army, in all the places that we had gone to, in the US, Canada, Australia, and Europe, we did a lot to lobby the whole world to support South Sudan towards referendum. We protected it. And we made sure that it was respected and that the South Sudanese people were able to go to vote. And not only that, we mobilized our people to vote. And we also raised funds, founded organizations, and supported our community. Many educational projects, as well as health projects, were started by the Lost Boys. Way before there wasn't all this humanitarian surge in South Sudan, it was the projects of the Red Army that were sustaining people in the villages, that were drilling boreholes, that were running health schools, that were actually providing healthcare. So, during this occasion, and especially today, I want to pay tribute to all the Red Army, to all the Lost Boys, and to the children of South Sudan who suffered immensely so that we can have a nation we call the Republic of South Sudan today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Deng Aruai, for a wonderful give us, like it's a footstep. You lay out the footstep that the beginning to the end, and the contribution of the Red Army and Lost Boys. So you are absolutely correct. You very much what you explained. That's what we witness and what we know. So thank you. Let me give this chance to Majuk. Majuk, do you have any question to Dr. Deng? Okay, Majuk, are you there? So if Majuk is not there, you are busy. Let me. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, Abraham. Thank you so much, Abraham Majid, and thank you so much, President Deng. It has been a while, and happy to hear your voice today. And to our audience and everybody, happy 16 May. 16 May, as we are discussing and trying to remember those days of our struggle and how the struggle has started. I have one question to pose to Dr. Deng. After you narrated the whole story on how you guys left your home, sacrificed your childhood memories, and play around in the villages at cattle camp, and joined the movement, comparing the cost which you people were struggling for and the state of affairs of our country currently, what can you comment on that? Is there somewhere where we have compromised the struggle? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Comrade Majuk. Let me just say, I have always told the people of South Sudan that what has happened, and especially from 2011 to date, is a tragedy. We console ourselves by saying that at least the objective has been achieved. We have a nation. So whatever happens, happens. Some people have gone as far as saying, even if I die of hunger, if I die of disease, even if I remain poor for the rest of my life, then there's no problem. I've done my part. We have a nation. The flag is raised. That is only when you want to console yourself so that you don't die of, let me say, despair, so that you are not heartbroken. You console yourself. But the truth is, we have squandered an opportunity of a lifetime. I call it a tragedy because what we have right now, we call it a nation. Because yes, it's what it is. It's like an imitation of a nation, but doesn't function like a nation. So I call it a piece of real estate. What we did is we worked really hard for 200 years to save up some money, and we bought a piece of land and we fenced it. We actually put a wire around it. And the reason why I say it's a wire, it's not even a concrete fence, is that Uganda is taking part of it, Kenya is taking part of it, Ethiopia is taking part of it, Sudan is taking part of it, Congo may be taking part of it on the other side, and there's nothing we can say. It's a piece of real estate. We have a title deed. It's written on it, the Republic of South Sudan. It belongs to all of us. But we have hardly built anything on it. It was very clear that what we were going to do were just two things: state building and nation building. These are two different things. We wanted to have a state, a country. Then we wanted to have a nation with the people in it. But we failed to do this. So, yes, I think we have not, I feel like the promise of independence, because I don't want to regret voting for suppression. That's not the point. We have not done anything wrong wanting to be an independent country. In fact, we wanted to be on our own. What we did not expect is how we were going to govern ourselves to where we are right now, to where the mother of all the days in South Sudan, which is the 16th of May, cannot be officially celebrated because there's no money, or people are afraid to be together. You see? So for almost a decade now, the 16th of May has not been marked or observed publicly and officially at Dr. John Garang Museum in Juba. And it's because of many factors. And most of it is because of failure. Economic failure and fear.
Comrade Dengbol, are you there? We cannot hear you. Dengbol, your network, it seems like cut off. Okay.
My joke has also dropped as well.
What happened? Majok is on down. Is down.
He's not on stage.
Yeah, he probably left. He probably left. He would be back. Okay. Cosmo, you can go ahead with your 5 minutes.
Thank you, brother David Jack. I'm not sure if Chairman Deng is able to hear me. Deng, can you hear me?
Yeah, Deng's having a network issues. Probably see maybe somebody call him. So.
Okay. While we wait for you to recover, I might just go and say once again, I've said it elsewhere, but I have to say it again. Happy 42nd, or is that?
Hello?
Are you back? Yep. Yeah, continue.
Yeah, so I think the people of South Sudan are greatly disappointed the way things have turned out in South Sudan, given the state of affairs, because we did not expect that more than half of the population will be poor by this time. We did not expect that more than half of the population will be food insecure. We did not expect that close to half of the population
Again, Comrade Dengbol, I think your network cut off again. We cannot hear you. Yeah, sometime when you are receiving a phone call, it will cut off your mic. Okay, while we are waiting for Comrade Dengbol to fix his internet or let us move. Cosmos, do you need to continue?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to say congratulations to the people of South Sudan for commemorating their 42nd anniversary of the liberation struggle, which started on the 16th of May, 1983. It has been a long, long ride for South Sudanese, 21 years of struggle, which in the end was realized in the CPA and self-determination, which consequently secured us the independence of our country, our republic. Deng, are you there?
I'm here, yes.
Okay, continue.
Yeah, so what were you asking about the CPA and the
Oh, no, the other person is gone. I was just making a congratulatory message while you were gone. Take advantage of the time. Because your reception is...
and Cosmo, if you have a question...
But I do have questions.
Yeah, go ahead with your question, yeah.
I do have a few questions. First of all, Brother Deng, I congratulate you in your capacity as former leader of the SPLA-Red Army Foundation. I also congratulate you on the significant leaps of progress you made personally as a person, but also as a generation of a lost boy, what you've done for the country. Now, the question that I'm going to ask you is specific to what you do currently, because you are now a critical practitioner. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, in just as much as everyone else is working blame and critique, I think you deserve the same. Now, I saw on legislative media your introduction of yourself as a chairman and commander-in-chief of the South Sudan Civil Liberation Movement and South Sudan Liberation Army. The first question is it a party or is it a movement?
Thank you so much for this question. And of course, this will give me an opportunity to clarify things and perhaps to make sure that the people of South Sudan understand the motive behind all this. The SSPLM and A, as it sounds and it's written there, it's a political military organization. And basically, our
is it a movement? Is it a movement or is it a party? Because both can be organization. A movement is organization. A party is organization. But is it a party or movement?
Like I said, political military organization, just like the SPLM, SPLA of back in the day, was a political organization and also a military organization.
There was a movement. There was a movement, and I'll tell the difference later on.
No, okay. Also, a party and a movement. A party can be a movement, and a movement can be a party. But also, a movement can also be military and political. But these are two distinct organizations. The SSPLM is like a party. It's a political movement. The SSPLA is a military organization, a military wing of the SSPLM. That's the explanation.
Okay, it's just a short question. I will ask that question. You will continue to elaborate on that. Now, before in 1963, in August, South Sudanese, especially those of TANU, they founded a South Sudan Liberation Movement at the time. It was a wing of the Anyanya.
Yes.
Is there a difference in philosophy between that movement and yours, or is it the same?
Well, like I said, we actually, if we go back to what the SPLM, SPLA did for us, and all the hopes, all the investments that we have made into that military or political military organization until we achieved South Sudan, and given the state of affairs, we feel that this country requires re-liberation. Or if the liberation was not done, was not finished, if we had only a physical liberation, then we need to liberate people from the situation we are in today. And I think the people of South Sudan are all aware of the problems that we are facing. These problems we are facing today require anything that can be done. It can be a revolution, it can be a political struggle, it can be a military struggle, or any other forms of liberation by any means necessary in order for all of us to at least have a chance of living in this country. I mean, each of us, all of us, maybe within the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years, a lot of us who are alive today will no longer be there. The saddest thing is
that's correct. But here's what I was saying.
Will not get the benefit.
Here's what I was saying. So the South Sudan Liberation Movement is SSPLM. I did not mean South Sudan Liberation Movement, which is the SPLA, SPLM. That's not what I meant.
Yes.
In 1963, when they set themselves up for that movement, they said they wanted to separate from the rest of the Sudan. They wanted South to be independent. And then the SPLA, SPLM came and said, no, this one is not a viable option. We're going to go for separation of the whole country so that all the citizens of the Sudan are treated equal, have equal access to possible opportunities, and also see a established circular state where no distinction of religion to dictate how citizens relate among themselves, but also politically that they be free to express their political views wherever they may be. And it was also for all the Sudanese people. It was a mile away from the original one, which was about the south. This one was now about the Sudan. Now your one is kind of similar to South Sudan Liberation Movement of the Anyanya. It's similar to that. Now you did say that it has both sides, the political as well as the military side. So I'm gonna move on so that I don't put you on waste too much of your time and put you under pressure.
But before you move.
So here's what I'm gonna say.
Before you move on, I want to know if there is any contradiction or if there's something I did not understand between the word Sudan and South Sudan. The reason why we added South is because we don't want to use Sudan anymore because will be a replica of the SPLM, or we'll be talking about the Sudan. But now we are South Sudan. That's why we adopted the name South Sudan People's Liberation Movement and South Sudan People's Liberation Army. Thank you.
Okay, but you don't fall into this no belief that there has to be a second liberation. We do not know if they want, if that also involves the so-called three states, where Equatoria have their own country, and then Upper Nile and the part of the Galo with their own country.
Oh, okay. Maybe I now see what you mean.
Because that's why I wanted you to understand the distinction between. Hold on. That's why I wanted you to understand the distinction between South Sudan Liberation Movement and Sudan People's Liberation Movement, which is the SPLA, the recent one that we have now today. Because if you understand the philosophical difference between those two, then you will also be conscious of how the quote unquote second liberation is being propagated currently. As in one point as a free state, and then the other ones are just saying that self-care must go, and another one is saying there has to be rule not, and so on and so on. So which one are you for? Self-determination of some country, or are you for the liberation of the whole country?
Well, I think so long as you have the word South Sudan in it, basically talking about the whole country. You remember when the Nasser group wanted to fight for South Sudan, and they put Southern Sudan Independence Movement and army. That was very clear. Okay? So, and then the SPLM, SPLA remained with Sudan because their vision was the whole of Sudan. Our vision is this country called South Sudan. We want to liberate it from everything that it is going through now, even if it is hunger, even if it's to tell the people how to govern, if we cannot remove them from power, to show them how to govern, to tell them how to govern if they don't know yet, then we would have separated the people from those things.
Okay, the reason I said that, Dr. Deng, is because when we say Sudan People Liberation Movement, we later on shifted to division of the country. So yes. I'm understanding that you will not shift it to the division of the country, although you're using the name of the country, which is South Sudan. You're not going to fall into this Upper Nile being a country of its own and Victoria being a country of its own, and so on and so on. So that is clear. That's clear now. Now, my next question is, do you now believe, because you now have two organs within your organization, the political wing and the army wing. Do you believe that South Sudan is at a stage where anyone, for example, Madin Najat, can decide tomorrow to have its own political wing in late stage, and myself, I can have my small political wing in Victoria or whatever the case is, and we'll fight for the same country, and we do not have any consistent message that can bring us together. In other words, do you believe there is no such a thing as institutional governance? There are only governance that should stay the situation in the military system.
Okay. You see, I'm going to try to choose my words carefully. Yeah. Because the question that I should have asked is who determines who should have this and who should have that? Who should form a political party and what kind of political party? Who should have a political party and army? Or who should have an army and who shouldn't? It is based on the need. And at this particular time, South Sudan could use anything at its disposal. Anyone. It doesn't have to be me. I wish somebody could liberate me so that I can go home and live in Tweeties County. So if I and the rest of our members and leadership decided that it is time for us to contribute like many who have contributed in the last 200 years, then this is also our contribution. I don't think there's any qualification. What we are seeing in South Sudan is that people are reacting to what is happening, to the situation. People are responding. People are answering the call. Because a question that you are asking will be ridiculous if we did not have millions of people living in refugee camps. If the political space was opened, if there was ever a chance for any election, if people were not being targeted, dying, being killed, and all this, if tribes and communities were not fighting themselves, if institutions of governance were functioning, if there was no mass corruption, I mean, where do I even begin?
All right, final question so that others may ask you other questions as well. But just to answer your question as to who decides, who should have a party, who should have the army. I'm sure you had a party before and you were registered in South Sudan under the laws of South Sudan. So political parties are political rights of anyone that wants to visit their party. So in that way, who decides who should have a party is our system, it's our law, it's our government. The other side, who decides whether to have an army, that one is a personal decision. Or then it's dropped. But anyway, he was asking who decides who should have an army. No one. If you want to form a militia, that is a personal decision. If you want to rebel, that's a personal decision. Because there's only one national army in any country. Always national army, that is one. And that is based on principles of monopoly, of violence. You cannot monopolize violence if you have a variety of armies that are not coordinated centrally. So that's the question. That's the remark that I wanted to say finally. Dr. Deng, the question that I wanted to ask him is related to a status that he wrote on Facebook. Maybe if he comes back, I might be able to ask, and if not, that's fine. He wrote something about the poll, or rather the fake announcement of President here, and he reacted on Facebook saying that he was not surprised that Kir is not safe.
So if you can hold that thought, and when you come back, you can say those.
Yep.
So you can say that.
Thank you.
Yeah, that would be good.
I yield the mic back to you.
Okay, Ashwil, let us give this shot to Ashwil. Ashwil, first of all.
Okay. I have a mic. Do you hear me, or should I? Actually, I'm at work, but I'm quite busy right now.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, you can go ahead. We can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. I think it would be better if let's do this. Hello.
Yes. Yes, you clear now.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, Majok and Cosmos, and those who are listening to us, including Dr. Deng that was here. Yes, I just came up here to pay my respect to the topic, the anniversary of the SPLA, SPLM, SPLA. And Dr. Deng elaborated really well. And I feel myself. My name is Ishwil, by the way, and I'm Red Army from Dima. And every step of the way when he was explaining from people that moved from Bar Ghazal, I was there, and I can feel
Hang
real
on.
description of the situation.
Comrade Dengbol, can you check your mic? If you cannot hear us, go back outside and come back.
Okay. I don't hear him. I think his mic is...
No, his mic is closed, but he is not something that yeah.
Okay. Dr. Dembo, you want to say something?
Yeah, I was not hearing anything, so I've just heard now. So yes.
Okay. Actually, is it right if I ask him a final question? If you can take it from there?
Okay.
Yeah, Cosmo, make it short because Ashwili is at work, so we need to give that chance to him.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, okay. Then that's fine. Thank you, I think, for answering.
Yeah, I'll be listening, but I can speak. So let me finish quickly, and then you will pretend the mic is open. Let me. Okay, thank you. So what I was saying is appreciation of between you both, Madid, who actually opened the room, and the way Dr. Dengbol elaborated how it looked like, what it used to look like when we were in the bush and this summer and stuff like that, and I was struck by the situation, and when when some stories come up and you are part of that story, it always moved you. Although I was at work, so it moved me to come in. So I am Jason from Dima. We are the part of the group that went to Equatoria, and we lost a lot of us there. So what Deng was saying, I cannot add anything to it. But the little things that I want to add is we don't regret. Sometimes I was asked, mostly people that think that South Sudan is going in a wrong way or a different way. I will never say I spill my blood, but I can never regret what happened to me or what happened to worst case scenario to the people that we lost during the war. The only thing that is painful is the recognition of those who are gone, those who lost their limbs, those who, like the veterans. But we have a country. We have a country that it doesn't need to do much to celebrate people. We're not asking to distribute money or pay their families money. No, it's just a little recognition. When we were in Kapoita, I remember sometimes we don't even have food, we don't have anything, no money, but there is no May 15 that's gone by without doing a parade. People all gather and we put on our uniforms and celebrate with songs and dance, and that's it, and we go home. That's one day only. As a country, if we cannot do that in various places, especially in Rasa, which I call the headquarters of where our hero, the leader, died and being buried, then what are we doing? That's wrong. That's all I ask for the generation that perished, whether we are Red Army or just what, and all those who participate. It's not only us who actually pay the price. A lot of people, those who contributed their cattle, those who were killed in Khartoum because of us, those who lost their lives trying to get out and get killed, those who accused of being with SPLM and they just get targeted in various cities of South Sudan and get these people also contributed. So till the last day of recognition of our country, the vote, when we vote for separation. So we all in this. So yeah, thank you for people who can bring up something like this. Although we are online, we still celebrate it and we talk about whatever happened to us as anniversary. My last point is with my brother Cosmo. Uh, I think we have a lot of questions to Dr. Deng, but in my opinion, this should be a day that we celebrate whatever happened to us and SSPLA, all of us, whoever did what, it is all of us. And there will be, I think we did have this a lot, have open room for political space to ask questions and ask particular question to particular people. But I suggest this should be another day, but it's up to you. We are all free to make our judgment. But yeah, I'll land there. Thank you very much, Madid. I just appreciate you and Dr. Den and Majok and Cosmo, those who contributed here. And let's, remember and bring stories, our stories, the stories of people that we know, the stories of those who die and they are not recognized right now. It's not only Carbino or John Garang or William, not those who were, but those who also died as soldiers. How can we bring their name to the book? Those are things that we should be discussing in this kind of day. And thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Comrade Julia. You are right. The message that you say that we are not here to talk about politics. We are talking about the history, memories about the SPLM, SPLA, and what the sacrifice that our people make and what we made as the Red Army or Lost Boys. So let us go that and then let us leave the political argument out of it. So I agree with you, Achille. Go ahead, Comrade Denbo.
Yeah, I was just also paying my tribute to community. I was saying thank you very much for your service, and these are the Red Army I was talking about, all the way from Rose GPU to Capoeira, coming all the way to Torres to Cuba in '92, going all the way to Maridi, Yambio, Tambra. These are the people who have they suffered a lot. They fought. They sacrificed. A lot of them died all the way up to Euro, up to Toin, up to Gorial, going all the way to northern Barkazal and all these Raja. These are all the areas that the Red Army have actually sacrificed during the liberation struggle. Not to mention the whole mess in Upper Nile all the way to Blue Nile in the 1990s. This and early 2000 during the time that the war was being taken to the north, to eastern Sudan. So the Red Army, in terms of that, and I said it before, and I also want you, Jesh Hammer, and all the Red Army, that don't be afraid to tell your story. If you don't tell your story, that no one is going to tell that story for you. And during my tenure as chairman of the Red Army Foundation for about 10 years and 7 months, I spoke about the Red Army almost every day, and I made it very, very clear that this war was a partnership between the old and the young. And we did a lot, and we thank all the people who were the brain behind the whole liberation struggle. If I were just to focus on the SPLM, SPLA, the war that we, the children, had participated a lot in, then we thank all the people who started the war, who were the brain behind the war, who brought all the weapons, who had all the ideas, and who used us as tools for the liberation. And they used us perfectly and very well. And we achieved a lot as Red Army. We suffered, we died, but we all say it was for this nation. And I agree with Comrade Chir, no regret. Maybe like 0.0 something percent of the people will say they regret voting for independence, you see. But majority of the people say, yes, we have a country, just like I said before, it's a piece of real estate. It's written there, it's our title deed, Republic of South Sudan. No one will take it away from us. Some people may be taking a little bit here and there, but it is still ours. We own it. We're going to own it forever. It's just that we need to build something within this time. We want to make sure that it is peaceful inside and that we are living in it peacefully. So, yes, the millions who have died, those who lost limbs, those who suffered, walked all over, those who have sustained injuries, until now, all this in the name of having a country. And sometimes that's a price to pay to have a country. If it is compromised, if it's being taken away from you. The question is now that we have a nation, what do we do with it? This is the struggle. This is what has led me to who I am today. And this is not only me, a lot of people out there. Okay? So, today,
Keep it low, keep it low. Can you mute yourself?
Yeah, I did was dad was right there, and I was right here. I did a dad was right here, and dad was right there. Bruh, the first thing I come, I can't. Somebody.
Okay, go ahead, Comrade Deng Bol, I mute him. For some reason. Yeah, go ahead, Comrade Deng Bol. I mute him. Okay, Comrade Deng Bol, can you hear me? Guys, can you hear me? Well,
I will hear you, sir.
Okay.
I hear you.
Okay, good. Deng Bol, go ahead. Maybe he's not hearing us. Okay.
But compare, why we went to war and the situation we are in now. What was it? What is the price? The price was freedom. The price was going to be equality. Was going to be prosperity for all. And if these things are not there now, after 20 years from 2005 and 14 years from independence, then we're going to go back to politics. Why are these things not happening? So it's a complicated thing. So I don't think it is just going to be 100% black and white that we can talk about this unless we just sing songs. But if we're going to talk about the 16th of May and the sacrifices of our people and their hopes and aspirations and what the kind of country they wanted to build or whatever they were, but if the question is what were we fighting for, then we cannot avoid talking about what is happening today and where we want to be tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Comrade Deng Bol. Let us give this chance to Comrade Walatak. Welcome. Walatak, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Welcome. Happy May 16.
Happy May 16. As the people of South Sudan, I've worked on a lot of situations during the liberation struggle and even way before it started. So when it comes to May 16, we always have a lot to talk about, to remind ourselves where we came from and where we are today and the future should be. This is very important, of course, and we should have been celebrating it. But the country at the moment is in a circumstances of division and hatred. The leaders of the movement that have led the liberation struggle, that have led us, are not in agreement with one another. They see themselves currently as the enemy to each other. Some live in exile, some are in the country, but isolated. And there is a new group that have actually taken over and make the decision of what should be and what should not be. And this may explain why Natasha Mayo just comes and goes unnoticed, as it used to be before. However, it's never too late for people of South Sudan to remember such moments as this, and that's why I'm so grateful to you, the moderator. We started this group to have this discussion. We can always celebrate and remind ourselves without having to sit in specific circles or group or a place to discuss. Such as today, such as this platform, great opportunity for us to do the same thing. So we will not be so much mourn about it having not been done. A success of a society is not only based on a leader. It's a small thing that each individual member of the society does that collectively make great and form the society for better. Therefore, while we look at our leaders and criticize them for having not done ABC, we also need to look inward and mirror our intention for our country that we love, South Sudan, that some of us fought for, or all of us fought for in one way or another. Having said that, you remember when we were in the bush during the struggle, the level of suffering was a lot more than it is today. I remember myself walking barefooted, using cheta or millet as my only broth to eat my food, or having eaten the leaves for weeks or for months. The South Sudan we found in 2005 is not the same South Sudan we have today, and we must acknowledge it. The leadership of Salva Kiir has its failures and has its success that we all can put forward and recognize them in order for us to have a fair assessment of the situation of our country. The demand that we have today, the living standard that we had before, and currently when you put them together in the scale, yes, people are suffering now because of a level of expectations and living standards that a new threshold that we have set to ourselves. But a certain threshold that we had when we came in 2005 to define ourselves that you're well off, you're better off, is a lot worse than what we have today. And honestly speaking, despite the weaknesses of President Salva Kiir, we have some good elements that we as citizens of South Sudan could appreciate. And we have the weaknesses that we would wish we wouldn't have. But that in totality what would make the human. the system of the country should have been better as our aspirations and prospects of a liberation struggle would look like. But the saddest part of this one is the fact that few individuals have captured the state. And they are using the state resources for their own benefit and empowerment rather than the nation. Of course, at this stage, Juba City should have a clean drinking water leading from the station to each kitchen and the bathroom of every house in the country. But our country has not reached this far because of two things. There is this enormous level of hatred that we need to overcome as citizens. That has led to lack of definition of the government seat and the state seat. In other words, I mean the lower state. That ambiguity has resulted into lack of justice in the city of Juba. Secondly, lack of political will and decisiveness to resolve that matter has also stalled the country. Juba would have been a city that is run purely by mayor, and the state government and the central government have no say over how taxes are other than the federal part of the law. But unfortunately, that mixture has many individuals within the central equatorial government and the government of the Republic of South Sudan have benefited to the expenses of the innocent citizens of South Sudan. I'll put that one aside as one of the reasons. Lack of will and love for our country. And let us have the current road that we have here.
Okay, guys, we're reaching out of our time here in live video, so I will play this video from President giving a speech yesterday. So then I will call this to you, and then you guys can join us in Clubhouse.
On the eve of 16th May, I wish to remind all of us that tomorrow marks the 42nd anniversary of the 16th May, a date imprinted in our national collective memory as the beginning of the long and determined struggle for our freedom. On this day in 1983, the sons and daughters of South Sudan, under the banner of the Sudan People's Liberation Movement and Sudan People's Liberation Army, SPLM, SPLA, rose in unity to fight against injustice, oppression, and marginalization. This day is not just a reminder of our past, it is rather a tribute to the courage, sacrifice, and vision of the country's heroes and heroines who paid the ultimate price so that we might live in an independent and sovereign South Sudan. We shall forever honor them. We remember them. We carry their legacy forward. As we reflect on this historic milestone, let us pay special tribute to our late founding members, Dr. John Garang de Mabior, Commander Kwanyin and William Yuanbang, and all of us who worked beside them through the most difficult and defining moments of our liberation journey. The SPLM SPLA was not a merely military movement. It was a vision for justice, equality, and self-determination. Fellow South Sudanese, while we celebrate the achievements of the past, we must also face the responsibilities of the present. The struggle that began in 1955 and then resumed in 1983 was for freedom, but also for unity, peace, and prosperity. Today, we are called upon to protect that legacy by working together to maintain peace, heal divisions, and advance development. Our young nation has faced many challenges, but we have also made significant progress. Through the implementation of the revitalized peace agreement, we are restoring hope and laying the foundation for a better future. As we celebrate the 42nd anniversary, I call upon all citizens, young and old, men and women, to uphold values of the SPLM SPLA and to dedicate themselves to building a peaceful, stable, and united South Sudan. Let this anniversary be a moment of national renewal. Let it remind us that despite our differences, we are bound together by shared history and a common destiny. May the spirit of 16th May live on in our hearts and actions. May God bless the Republic of South Sudan. Long live the legacy of the SPLM SPLA. Long live the unity and freedom of our people.
Thank you, everyone. I would like to say happy May 16. It's quite a journey, 42 years later. So this day is a day that we can remember those who lost their life and those who are, we have to thank them for sacrificing their life to give our freedom and independence of our country. Thank you and happy May 16. Join us in Clubhouse. We'll still continue with our discussion. Thank you. Bye now.